Hey guys, it's Daniel, licensed therapist. I have just found the craziest deal for you guys. So if you have $150, you're going to want to get in on this. And if you don't have $150, sell something, borrow it, and get it. Because for $150, you can get your very own Shohei Ohtani dirt. They're selling dirt, guys. I mean, is it getting a little out of hand? Maybe not, because Shohei may be the best ever.
He's not a generational talent. He's the best to ever do it. Nobody that's put a baseball glove on their hand or picked up a bat can say that they are a better overall baseball player than Shohei Ohtani. And that was true before 50-50. I don't think you could make an argument for anybody else literally ever, because he does everything.
So what can explain a guy at 30 years old being the best ever already, other than being ridiculously talented? Well, that's why your guy here, the pro, is going to investigate and explain it to you. If you like this kind of content, consider liking and subscribing. It's going to actually make you a better person. But let's get into it, and let's start where we always start: childhood.
Shohei Ohtani was born July 5, 1994 in the former Mizusawa, Japan, a small rural city in a northern prefecture and a 3-hour train ride from Tokyo. Its climate isn't exactly conducive to producing baseball players, but Ohtani, the youngest of 3 children, nevertheless became Yaku Shonen. That is, a kid who eats, sleeps, and breathes baseball. Ohtani learned the game from his father, an automobile worker who played semi-pro ball, but he also inherited some big-time athleticism from his mother, a national-level badminton player in her teenage years. And while the youngster himself also enjoyed badminton and had a real affinity for swimming, it was baseball that Ohtani dedicated himself to in earnest. Growing up, Ohtani spent countless hours practicing with his father, who doubled as his coach when he first started playing organized baseball. Together, the two meticulously tracked Ohtani's development in a shared notebook, with each of them jotting down notes after practices and games.
Hey, it seems like he had a pretty good childhood. It doesn't, seem like there's anything of note, really. I mean, his dad was an auto worker and played semi-pro ball, and his mom played badminton competitively. And his dad undoubtedly had a passion for baseball and probably practiced with Shohei for hours and hours. And they had this notebook. But you can't tell me it's because of a notebook that this guy is the best ever. And I'm sure there are a ton of kids who are doing the exact same thing with their dad. And not just in Japan, all over the world. So here I am looking for clues, but I am not really finding much. What I do see when I look at Shohei is he has this kind of innocence about him, like this lightness. And I feel like I attribute that to his parents. And overall, I would probably say his parents did a really good job. I mean, is that it? Surely there's something in his childhood that can explain it. But hey guys, I really didn't find anything. I mean, it was actually a pretty unremarkable childhood, all things considered. But you know what? The mind isn't just made up of childhood experiences. It's made up of a lot of different things. It's made up of behaviors and thoughts, feelings and beliefs, values, and a self-image. And your relationships are only part of the things that contribute to what makes a person a person. I mean, there are things like trauma, and there are life events. And when it comes to Shohei, I think there's something that we really need to consider here, and that is culture. I think it's safe to say that Japanese people love baseball. It's their most popular sport. And I looked it up, and there have been 71 Japanese-born people that have played in the major leagues. And I think that's actually pretty impressive. And let's compare that to another country, China. What about the Chinese? How many Chinese-born baseball players made it into the MLB? Well, if there were 71 that made it from Japan, and China has roughly 10 times the population, maybe 700 made it? Well, according to MLB.com, unfortunately, there was only one player that was born in China that made it into the MLB. Yes, only one. And that player is Harry Kingman. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure Harry Kingman isn't a Chinese guy. So with a population of 1.4 billion, China sent 0 people to the MLB, but Japan sent 71. A huge discrepancy, and I think a lot of that can be attributed just to the culture of loving baseball. And have you noticed anything about Japanese people? Anything peculiar? Well, let's take a look at Japanese culture through the lens of the extremely historically accurate Tom Cruise American blockbuster, The Last Samurai.
They are an intriguing people. From the moment they wake, they devote themselves to the perfection of whatever they pursue. I have never seen such discipline.
Yeah, the Japanese have this very intense discipline and dedication to perfection. And that's embodied in the Japanese word kodawari, which means the pursuit of perfection. But instead of me talking about it, let's hear about it from a Japanese guy.
Can you describe kodawari as a central element of ikigai, an approach whereby you take extraordinary care of very small details? So would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think the typical example would be a ramen noodle restaurant where the owner chef had such a kodawari about how to make the noodles and soup and ingredients, toppings, and so on. So that, interestingly, funnily, many customers might not actually be aware of the extra length that he would go to make his bowl of ramen noodle just perfect. Actually, people don't care so much, but he has this really developed sensitivities for how the noodles should taste in your mouth and so on. So,
I always do say that Japanese ramen is the best bowl of soupy noodles. Come fight me in the comments over that. But I think this kind of dedication and attention to detail definitely plays a huge part in Shohei really developing his skill at a very young age. But you know what? That really got me to thinking. Being so good, so young, usually spells trouble for young men. And I think that is one of the big reasons why Diddy became, well, Diddy. And I make a video about that here. But Shohei appears to make all the right decisions. And how did he do that? And I feel like, again, we can look to culture. Unlike Western cultures, which are more individualistic, Eastern cultures are more collectivist, and they have a huge emphasis on the family. And doing well makes your family look good, and you bring honor to your family. But doing bad and making poor decisions, well, that brings dishonor and shame to your family. And I'm sure as a young man, Shohei had very many opportunities to make some very bad decisions, but as far as we know, he didn't make those decisions. And I can't help but think that the shame culture of Asia has some responsibility. But you know what I think might have an even greater impact? Shohei is actually religious. Yeah, he's a professing Christian. And one thing I learned very early on in grad school is that religion is a huge strength. It can definitely give you that moral guideline to help you make better decisions in life. It can give you a sense of purpose and a sense of destiny when life doesn't really go your way. And it can give you peace when life really turns anxiety-provoking. You're put in these very difficult situations. And if God really does exist, it will completely redefine negative narratives in your life. Anyway, I think God is a good place to end here because, man, did God create the perfect baseball player in Shohei Ohtani? I mean, I feel like he won the genetic lottery like 5 times in a row. And I feel like that kind of leaves us with the possibility, based on the lack of things that we found in his childhood, that maybe he just is that ridiculously talented. Well, that's my thoughts on Shohei. What do you think though, guys? Leave it in the comments down there. And if you have anything you want me to react to, please also leave it in the comments down there. I really appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time.